So in our last podcast, Krish Beer, one of the Bhag boys mentioned that India has a lot of cool to offer. Come to India and become cool. I feel this room encapsulates that energy. We have the founder of Cherrapunji and we have the founder of Gully Labs on the pod today.
Hey,
Mayukh.
what's
Yes. Quick intros, guys.
Okay, I am Mayukh,
Yes.
CEO and founder of Cherrapunji Gin.
Yeah.
You see behind. It's a gin made in the rainiest place on earth
Yeah.
and from rainwater. Cherrapunji, as you may know, it gets the highest amount of rainfall. Cherrapunji and Mosundram, two villages.
So in fact, before we even get into the story of the brand, let's set some context as to what were you doing before the brand came into play.
I was always in marketing. I was always working for brands and helping people market until I realized that, this is something that our place, which is the Northeast, really, really needs. Because, we get a lot of people who come to our place as tourists, but we haven't been able to productize our place and take it outside.
Yeah. So you've grown up in...
Yes, I grew up. I'm a native from Shillong. So
Yeah. And you did your schooling from there?
Yes, I did my schooling and college from there, post-graduation from Indore.
Yeah.
And then, yes.
I've met the nicest people from Shillong. Like one of my flatmates from college was from Shillong and I had the best time living with him. And the kind of temperament that you have and the kind of temperament that he had is so similar. It's beautiful.
I'm getting us all. I think the delivery guy is here.
We love that. In fact, the first podcast again, the one that you're talking about, right? Zifan just kept getting calls in Medi because XTCY, for the first time, the brand didn't exist back then. And he was getting the first dispatch of XTCY. So he's on the pod and he's like, I have to take this. And then he... Interesting. Yeah. Then he muted his mic out. It's okay. Yeah. It's like, shut the fuck up, Puramir.
When you said XTCY, it's like, what? Are we having XTCY to pop it out as excellent podcast?
But we are.
Yeah. Is that right, Don Raj? Yeah, but also Gully Labs was very nice about sending shoes to us. And they sent me a pair of yellow shoes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I had to match my fit.
I think it really goes well with you.
Yeah?
Encapsulates your energy.
Yeah, yellow? Okay, nice. Right.
Nice pop.
Nice pop. It's okay, we're matching with the mango flavor. There you go. I'm going to show my shoes on the pod. But yeah, let's go
And
back.
thank you for the shoes.
Happy to, man. Appreciate all the great work that all the founders put in.
Yeah.
Doing both of you also.
Thank you.
So small.
Great. Yeah, that was lovely.
I've loved your brand since I've noticed it. I think it's got India in it, and that's something that I have been trying to do because I think back in the day, and I've been working in marketing for a long time.
Right.
One thing that I've noticed, like when we were making brands, is we were shy of calling ourselves like Indian. Like we would have foreign-sounding names on fashion brands, liquor brands,
Right.
and even when it comes to design, even if we call it Indian, but the design would be completely, copied or inspired by what's happening in the West.
Right.
And I think what you guys have done, and I've also tried to do the same, is define my own aesthetic, and that's so important because we as a country, we now have the confidence, and I think that should translate into products because you give, like when I go to Japan or any other place in the world, if I'm wearing something Indian which represents Indian design, like I'll be truly proud of it and I'd like to show my friends outside. So yeah, great.
100%. I feel like there has been such a drastic change as to how brands have grown, right? Like in like 20s or 2007, 2008, brands like Louis Philippe and like all of those things were coming, which were brands from India posing to being Western brands.
Yeah.
And I think that was the era of like colonial hangover, right?
Yeah, it still is, and unfortunately in our country that used to work, but I think the new generation and times have changed. As a nation, I think we have confidence now, and which we did not have back then, and I think there should be more products, and there will be more products like our own product. We don't shy away from calling ourselves Cherrapunji, right?
Oh, of course not.
We didn't want to call ourselves some random whatever rain something.
Yeah.
And even visually, if you notice, like we've tried to put an art which is like it's not traditional Indian art, but it's defining our own style.
Correct.
Right? And that's very important, right? like, when you say that it's from Europe, there's a Scandinavian aesthetic. If it's come from Japan, it has like, a wabi-sabi or a Japanese aesthetic. What is our aesthetic? And we've had great aesthetic over the centuries, right?
Correct.
I think only over the last, 50, 100 years, probably, that is when we were asked to suppress it and then probably follow more of the West. And I think that's changing. And we're truly now, I think, with brands like us and many others, right? I think the time has come where we will see a surge of such products and brands coming up.
Correct. That represent local.
Yes,
the thought.
that represents
Yes.
India as a country, right? The modern India, the young India,
Correct.
right? Like I love what you guys did with the shoe with the pile in Rani, right? Yes.
Yeah.
That's the Prakar collaboration.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's a brilliant idea. I mean, like it's so beautiful and then it's so thoughtful.
Exactly. And Prakar, the designer as well, is great. Like he's got like a very nice local sensibility.
Right.
Yeah. So guys, your journey, how the
Like, I just want to share everything that you said is literally what we have been sort of standing on rooftops and sharing. That it's a bit cut to say ki we want to live in Princeton and Bel Air. And
correct.
I can name like 10 more brands as well. They are so like angelicized because deep down inside we never believe in India futurism or Indian excellency. And we can intellectualize it as much. Yeah. Our pasts, how we grew up as a country. But I think it's a damn cool time now where people just don't give up.
Similarly.
They're like, Malab, this is our narrative and journey, and I know Gully Lab's journey is on that path as well. That, like, what is an Indian sneaker brand from India look like, right?
Yeah.
It is not likely going to be a Jordan story.
Correct.
Jordan's great shoe, great athlete, everything great, right? But it's a derived story in India, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It is hype. Buying on her, it's a derivative hype.
Sure.
It is hype here because it's hype somewhere else.
Correct.
It never bent into the reason of why it was hyped here. That probably a Virat Kohli story is much more
Deeper and correct.
and who's making Virat Kohli aspirational, right? Or if I take the most natural mainstream example, and I think this is the time, right? Japan's always had that sort of self pride, right?
Yes.
Even though they were destroyed in the 40s, but just how Toyota, how all those Japanese brands, Sony, just really took that and like took it to the edge, right?
Yeah.
Who's doing that for India, right? Because why?
It's you guys, man, doing it for India.
No,
But
that's the work in progress, right?
yes, yeah.
And you got to sell just using India as well, right?
Yes.
Too fit. You're not like a nationalistic play here.
Correct.
So you have to be at the edge of product and what the product stands for. Like you can't be saying nationalism as well.
Yeah.
So which is a hard job, but I think tons of
Yeah.
founders are doing that. Right?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's the big.
So what we were supposed to crack by the end of the podcast, we've cracked right now. So guys, this is I know we're done. But okay, no. So we still haven't established for the audience. That's animesh. That's Arjun. Quick stories. Your background. How did even before Gully Labs, what were you guys up there?
So before as I was an engineer, I graduated from SIT.
Based out of Delhi.
Grew up in West Bengal.
Okay, lovely.
My dad,
Where in West Bengal?
it's a place called Asisoli, West Bengal, Ropera, Dua. My dad initially played football there, then retired from football, started working there. So grown up like in a small town, just learning like these basic Indian things that we now take inspiration from. Like what West Bengal, where I've grown up, is like largely different from what Delhi is. Like I felt the same, for example, when I was in New York. How New York was different from Delhi. Asansol is also different from Delhi, but on the opposite end of the spectrum. So that's where I grew up. Then I moved to Delhi for college. Spent 4 years doing a bunch of things, which I'm not using in life anymore. But
Okay.
and then just did like 3 back-to-back corporate like jobs.
Like what?
Like I was, and like I started working out as an engineer, doing some other stuff. Then moved out to consulting. Then, well, my last job was at Pain.
More interesting.
Then worked in the US for a bit. Got back.
How old are you?
I am 28.
Okay. Don't look at you. You look like a young guy.
I know that this is a
Younger.
not a bad thing. Like, I also don't want to look 24.
Okay.
Glad that I look young. But yeah, that's my journey. And then I was when I got back from the US, that's when Arjun and I met as an alum meetup,
Okay, nice.
and we ended up discussing, exchanging ideas. I was focused on going something around community because I grew up seeing how people interact very naturally on common interests, right? The moment I moved to Delhi, and then I hopped cities, right? Like all major cities. I lived in Delhi, Pune, Bombay, then in Bangalore the 6 months, right? It just felt like that essence was missing. And then when I went and saw how people interacted in the West, it almost felt like they had to do it. Because like you don't grow up proud like hundreds of crores of people, right? Like in India, even if you're an asshole, you will have friends.
Correct.
Because there are people around you.
Yeah.
So the idea was to find ways of getting people together on just common interests, pride on things. And there was a sneaker idea that actually had, which was also around the community. So we were talking, we met, and then
What year was this?
this was 22 September.
Okay.
And then we launched, Gully has launched on 29th August 23.
Nice. Oh, you were fresh. Yeah. How was it? Super fresh.
And we launched a month later. Oh, crazy.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Yeah, 29th September.
20th September.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
23. Nice.
Okay, anime. Okay, your.
Yeah. So that was my journey,
Right.
And the motivation again was to just, because of these sort of smaller experiences and spaces that I've experienced very deeply, right? Like, that just felt like, there is a lot more to India than what we see. Like,
Correct.
like
And there is a lot more to management consultants than what we say when they very back.
but
Yeah. Control my concern.
I would probably say that once like Galilaz reaches that space. But
No, but you've seen that with the founder of Buff as well, right? What's his name? Imran Ahmad. Business of fashion, McKinsey, ex-McKinsey, and like started like the biggest fashion business globally, right? Yeah. So interesting thoughts.
yeah, no, awesome. I grew up as a Fauji kid. My dad's in the Air Force. He retired a couple of years ago, 2020. So I changed schools a lot. Usually growing up, I've lived in a whole bunch of cities and towns you would have never heard of. Did engineering, wanted to get into finance, like high finance. So
What is high finance?
high finance is basically investment banking, private equity, and hedge funds, obviously. Like, these are the three places, of which as well there is more distinction, of course. Investment banking being the lowest, then private equity, then hedge funds.
Yeah.
So I ended up being in the lowest rung of high finance.
Okay. Investment banking.
Investment banking, you just, grunt working there.
And this was the time you were working in Australia.
Well, this was even before as well. So right after college, I joined JP Morgan. It was their sort of back office in India. I ground myself.
Either.
Grinded for 2 years. And then I got a front office role in Australia. And then I basically lived my banking dream in the wheeling and dealing. And then I wanted to do more. Somehow startups felt the right place. But for some reason, I did not find the job in 1 month of looking for startup jobs in Australia. Maybe I wasn't good at interviewing. So then I decided to start my startup there. Went through accelerator, started a company. That company did not go to plan, but at least it made me realize that entrepreneurship is something that I want to do for the foreseeable future of my life.
Wonderful.
So then after spending 6 years in Australia with a company that didn't work out, I moved back here. My initial plan was to move to the US and build the company there. But that never happened. I had a lot of rose covers of nostalgia and hope from India. So ended up starting the company here, had a few ideas of which one was Gully Labs. In that journey, I met Animesh, and he was convinced enough to quit his job and then join. Yeah, both of us when we started, it was the two of us at Anshul who leads design, He was part-timing with us at that point of time. And yeah, we were packaging boxes, encoding tea, sending it out ourselves.
Where were you making the shoes?
So there is an auntie in Noida.
Yeah.
She has a sort of very small studio where 2 karigars work.
Amazing.
And we sort of retrofitted it into making our design studio at that point of time and making some sort of pairs. But soon we realized that we've got to do it ourselves. So somehow a company, a project, it wasn't a company there, it was mostly a project, became a company just gradually.
What was the root of you being like, hey, sneaker is the right space and this is what we're going to do?
Animesh had shared his perspective, but my perspective coming in was a couple of things. One, me wanting to build a company, but second, it felt like there was a lot of awareness and demand from people wanting to have sneakers. And all the sneakers that were selling on hype or design or narratives or intricacy of the product. And somehow there wasn't anything from India. And in my mind, it was a dissonance that if people are buying something for what it stands and there is nothing from the derived stories of people that are buying it, it just doesn't make sense.
Sure.
Like if I'm buying something like, let's say, a Sean Witherspoon, Adidas, Samba's collab, right? That guy has put in his own sort of journey and imprinted to the sneaker. People are able to relate it because it's great art or great design and whatnot. Who's doing the same thing for India? Who's elevating that for India, right? Thus that it becomes a desirable commodity and people want to wear and represent that. And that felt a big dissonance. And India is like the world's largest maker of shoes, or the second largest.
No way.
Yeah. Just the sheer number of people hand manufacturing facilities. And we've never done anything original in sneakers ever.
Correct.
That kind of felt really weird as well.
Imagine.
So many shoes being made here. Why are all of them somewhat like just mass market commoditized products? Like why is, and then if you put your head out from a global perspective, maybe 4 or 5 companies are making 60-70%.
But what I've learned from a lot of footwear designers is it's very difficult to produce a sneaker in India. Because if you go
the second reason to start, because like it isn't like making t-shirts where anyone can open shop tomorrow.
Right.
It's actually super painful to make sneakers. We manufacture them and design.
So I'll tell you what, like I was consulting for this listed company back in 2022, right? And like they wanted to build a sneaker brand and they had all the money in the fucking world that you can think of to build a sneaker brand. And they still couldn't do it just because of the sheer number of MOU, the kind of MOU that they had to match. So I was like, hey, like if they can't do it, then I don't think anybody can fucking make a sneaker in India.
Yeah, and we face the same problem. That's why.
Yeah, that's what the comics guys
make it
also do, right? Like, so I happened to speak to the founder and he told me like, this is the only silhouette that we can manage to get from China is why all of our silhouettes look the same.
I think you have to get deep into it. Like
Exactly.
people just run away some easy sitting in India.
Correct.
With all the positioning of the country as like a manufacturing giant, I think very few people actually want to take that step and actually push manufacturing.
Correct. And which you guys have done.
But it is fucking hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, waking up in the morning and saying, I am happy chewing glass.
Yeah.
And saying I like it. Every day for the rest of the life.
And it's so true in our industry. Same thing, like people don't want to manufacture. Everybody is contract manufacturing. Not everybody, but most of the new guys are contract manufacturing. And we manufacture ourselves. And that too, like, in Meghalaya, right? So that is where our factory is.
Correct.
To ship, so when we wanted to export to Europe, our state did not even have an excise policy. We requested the government to make an excise policy saying, the export policy saying that now we need to do it. They said, how will we charge you? We have no idea. We helped them and they were very supportive.
Right.
Just imagine there was no precedent of anything being exported out of the state internationally.
Wow.
And we had to do it.
Yeah.
And it is painful.
Right.
It took us 6 months to do it.
Yeah.
Our orders almost got cancelled.
Yeah.
But we asked them to wait and they did wait patiently and it happened. And it was like a real moment for us because, if I would have wanted, I could have gone to any bottler and I could have just started my business in Goa, right?
Correct.
It's fairly easy. There's an infrastructure. Yeah. But I made the choice that I will do it here in my home, my place, because I have to be true to the product.
Yeah.
With the botanicals from the region.
Right.
I didn't want to make a gin which is like an English gin because they do it better, right? We have to do what we can do it with our botanicals. We should have our imprint. Otherwise, what's the point? Right?
Yeah.
And I
So
could,
both of you wanted to, both these companies, the founders of these companies want to chew glass, like as you said, like go through the difficult path.
I don't think it's choosing that because it's hard. It's because that is the only path.
It's the necessary path.
It is the only path.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're making scene looking things
Exactly.
straight from somewhere, like that kind of shebang.
Yeah.
Which you didn't want to do. You want to make Gully Labs.
Correct.
You just want to make something else.
Yeah. What was your the root of your journey? Why the gin as some product, right? Like you wanted to, that's something that you established already, that like you wanted to make a product from India, for the world
yeah.
as well, right?
So initially, my idea was I didn't know that I'll end up in liquor, right? My thing was, this is my place. I need to productize this place. The first idea was, okay, what is this place about? This place is about rain. I said, okay, I want to market rain. And what is the first idea that comes to your head, okay, let's make umbrellas. But I said, like, nobody has a conversation around umbrellas, right? Like, what umbrella do you have? Nobody's talking about that, right? I said, although I do have the trademark for it. So I said, no, I'm not getting into that. I wanted to build something which is social, where people talk about it, and which is also, can take the place in. So I think the most logical thing for me to do was to bottle rain. And bottle rain was not good enough because nobody wants to have rainwater, right? That's not something that you sell or there's a demand for. So I said, this has to be alcohol, because alcohol by design has
Distilled water,
which is rainwater,
right?
And that was my moment. I said, yes. So, all alcohol is distilled water. So this is rainwater, free natural ingredient. Let me figure out a way to purify it. And let me put this in, and that is my IP.
Wow.
Yeah. And why gin specifically? Because gin is about botanicals and the place. So our place is so vibrant, and the botanicals that we have are so rare. So like if I put this in, this will obviously be a very, very different tasting gin.
Correct.
It will not taste as like a regular gin.
And I've tried the product now. And can we get the product? Not you can bring it in the frame.
So what are the botanic? I don't know if this is for the hero shot, but what are the botanicals?
So we have juniper, which is from the Himalayas. In fact, I'll show you.
Yeah.
So see, this is the mandarin that we have.
Where is this from?
This from Cherrapunji itself, and it's very sweet. You can feel the sweetness.
Yes.
It's got a GI tag, by the way. GI tag. You know what's a GI tag? A geographical indication, which means it can only grow there. It cannot grow anywhere else in the world.
You say we've been to that bar before, and like we've tried everything out.
So I'm pouring a small portion since it's.
It smells sweet.
Wow. Someone should bottle it with purple.
Why did you not think of making purple that way? Or cool raincoats?
Cool raincoats, yeah, again. Nobody's wearing them all the time. Like alcohol, especially is a social thing. Like in the evening, you tend to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that this is a very nice way to, because again, my idea was to brand the place.
Exactly. Wise.
Like productize the place. And this is called the Kaji Nemu. It's similar to Gondaraj.
There you go. Pass me that glass, no?
Kaji Nemu is from Assam. Gondaraj is from here.
Thank you.
It's not diluted. It's not diluted.
Is that how we drink it?
So I like to first, because you're having it for the first time, I want you to taste it in the sense just the way it is. Yeah. First nose it.
Oh.
And then sip it.
It's a sipping gin. Like, have you ever had a sipping gin? Like, if you've had like any of these other brands, Bombay Sam, this and
So this is the way you first sip it, and secondly, there should be. You ask him to get some water and a tonic.
Stop having
Soda and tonic. Sorry. So the way I like to have this product is with like either by itself or like a gin tonic. Gin, soda and tonic. Why? Because most of the Indian tonic waters are very sweet.
Yeah, so sweet.
Yes. So I can't handle it. So I tone it down with soda.
Was that also a tonic water?
It's a different muscle to build. Manufacturing is not difficult at all. But the point is, again, then it becomes like a D2C play or like a, because see, our distribution is the muscle that we are building is in liquor, and you don't distribute tonic through the liquor channel.
But like these categories in Gurgaon, see already in liquor stores now also have tonic water like Planet on water a pepper.
It is there, but again, that's not the core of our business. And again, like
Just as an adjacent.
yes, it can be.
Or even as a brand player, right? Like,
Even as a brand player, yes, it definitely can be. If I do it one day, it will be only because of the lack of less good tonic waters. Like my favorite tonic water is Fever Tree, which you rarely get in India. No, you get it in Nature's Basket somewhere. I think sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah.
a CPV though. And what made you guys commit to this business, right? Because you had, I'm sure it wasn't easy for you to get in the spirit space. In there, it's one of the hardest businesses to get into, like with like extremely like a lot of barriers to.
Yeah, a lot of barriers to entry.
Yeah.
And that is also the moat, Thank you. There is also the moat because, thank you. That's also the moat because whatever is difficult, no, people will not get into it.
Exactly. And for the both of you, right? This is why this question, like, what made you commit to it? Like, when you started, okay, we talk about the spirit market first.
Yeah, in the spirit market, what really happens is because it's so difficult. First of all, to do your own manufacturing, we chose that. We chose to manufacture in Meghalaya, which is like really, really far away and not very well connected to mainland India, right?
Correct.
It's very like geographically distant. And
Was that a plus for you, or was that like?
it is in a way my IP because if I'm selling, I can't be calling it Cherrapunji and making it in Goa, no? That's what I feel. And
Or selling it in Gurgaon.
or selling it in see eventually there is and there are products like that, okay?
Yeah.
So I won't name them, but
Correct.
yeah, there are products, they just call it something and they have nothing to do with the place.
No, but now is the time to name drop. Like,
There's a gin called Jodhpur.
yes.
Nothing to do with Jodhpur.
Yeah.
It's manufactured in the UK.
Right.
And this is called Jodhpur.
Yeah. Oh, it's manufactured in the UK.
Yes.
Okay.
What about Jaisalmer?
It's not made in Jaisalmer. It's made by Radhiko Khaitan, but it's at least
Close to Jaisalmer.
maybe. Yeah.
Right.
You are imaginative.
And but the point is, I think you have to be little honest, correct? Can I just do half an hour?
Sure. Do your thing.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
why does it have blue tints? Like,
Because the oils are coming out, and I'll decide to we keep the oils in. We can clear it out easily, but then you'll not get flavor
because right now it's transparent, right?
yeah. Yes. The moment you add water, what really happens? The oils start getting released, and we keep it that way intentionally because you'll get much more flavor this way.
That's crazy. That should be a marketing thing.
Yeah. The cloudy gin from Meghalaya, from the rainiest place on earth.
After this podcast, this gin is gonna blow up. And because I'm wearing the yellow sneakers also, I think Gully Labs are also gonna blow up. I'm joking. It both equal punch. They're like
The tonic water,
red out there.
the blue color there.
No, it's
Soda, it is still not.
yeah, because the mix of both will start.
This is damn good gin.
Thank you.
Like, it is wine glass. Thank you for making it great gin. I'm not joking, but like I'm not the biggest gin lover, but this is very nice. Like it's very balanced, if I may use the word.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not like super citrusy or super bittery. Yeah. Especially like the whole clean drinking thing was quite nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is that, see, we went on to win 13 international awards since the time we've launched. And actually, I did not expect it. When I had launched, like, there's somebody in my team who enjoyed.
How did it launch in across the globe before it did in?
My idea was, see, we had a lot of barrier to entry within India itself. And we figured out it's easier to sell outside India and also in duty-frees across the world. Before even we launched thing, it was actually, ideally, I would have loved to launch in all the Indians, in all the states first and then go outside. But what really happened was, because it was becoming difficult, because we took a lot of time. In fact, we haven't still got our registrations in many key states here, but it is happening primarily because of the because of the fact that it's a steel bottle. A lot of people, a lot of states want traditional proof that is steel safe. Then my only thing is that all the factories are made of steel. It's not made of glass, right? Where it's manufactured, the product is thing. And there are studies after studies. And this is stainless steel 304, the same material. It's a military grade stainless steel, which is used in factories, which is used to make any alcohol. In fact, nowadays wine is, or some wines are aged in stainless steel tanks with wood chips in it, right? So that also happens. So there is no thing. So, but yeah, they did require us to submit additional documentation. Many states did not have the policy to add a steel bottle. So before even saying that, for example, one state said that, oh, we don't have this in our policy. So you have to wait 1 year. So we did. And they actually changed it for us.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Things happen.
Things happen. Things do happen, but you just have to wait. It's a very slow industry because every state has different laws. So you have to register in each state. It's not that.
So did you go to some guy in the government and you're like,
Yes.
I want a steel bottle, and the guy's like,
No, it's not there as an option. It's not there in the policy. He said, yeah. Most of them were supporters. They said, yeah, it's a very interesting product. You guys have sold internationally. You guys have won so many awards. So we will get it done, but we will do it in the policy because they can't change the policy in the middle of the year.
oh. So to add that option of the form,
Yes.
you need recognition before you can challenge there.
Yeah, how is this slow build for you guys? Like when you entered the market, given it was such a difficult market to enter as well, right? Like sneakers, nobody was making them on their own. People were going to China to procure their sneakers. What made you be like, oh, I'm going to make the sneaker in a workshop that I work in?
I would say money.
Money?
Because flights to China, back and forth, they mean 2,000, 5,000 MOQ.
Right, exactly. It's impossible, right?
And we wanted to make a sneaker that was a very, very good sneaker.
Correct.
So,
And China's not the
now
market for that.
So you're like, I don't have money to do back and forth with China.
Yeah,
I want to make a really good sneaker. What do? You make the sneaker.
correct. No.
Makes really good shoes.
Of course. Yeah.
Make the best shoes, but we also did not want to compromise on speed. If you work with beyond money as well, there was an option we could.
Even though I feel like capital, capital does expedite the process of you getting whatever you. Yeah, so you want it's a big play.
Iterate on a daily basis. We want to make a new shoe. Our North Star was, we take off a shoe today and tomorrow we have that shoe. Whatever we thought of.
Right.
How do we get there?
Yeah.
Get there by having people who are making shoes be in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
So they're there. You tell them, okay, we want to make this. Let's prototype it. You get that tomorrow.
Correct.
For that speed, if you do all the problem solving, the only option is to do it yourself.
I get it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, on design to production in 7 days. For an entire
Actual launch.
Yeah.
Like the Nadu launch.
Yeah.
Animesh came in the office on a Monday saying it's Onam in 2 weeks' time. We need to put a Kerala-inspired sneaker. And on Saturday.
Yeah, productions like this, the kind of collabs that you do, everything feels too real. That's why everybody bites into a category like this, right?
It's hard to coordinate if the manufacturer is stationed remotely, and it just felt more comfortable to have these things done in front of your eyes. Those small changes, those iterations are super fast, and more importantly, we were confident we could put it up.
Yeah.
That is the important bit here. Both engineers thought
Yeah.
this is if we can't crack this, then this is this is
But where did the design element come for you guys? Because both of you are engineers.
I think it came from the vision of what does an Indian sneaker look like. I don't think there's any precedent. I don't think there's a playbook here. We are literally creating that vocabulary and that design language as we go. And it sort of comes through having an extremely strong vision and just iterating towards it.
Because I know for Mayukh, he's been in marketing, he's been in media all of his life. So he knows what a good product looks like. For you guys were
no, you can. I'd say you can learn anything if you invest enough time. Read stuff about it, and I think everything in the end boils down to a framework, right?
it also boils down to things that you've experienced in your life, right? It's him being an army kid, seeing the actual gullies around wherever he's been. For you, it's been also a lot of travel and West Bengal, your roots, that have really inspired the way that your sneakers look like.
If you have a why, you can find your how.
What does that mean?
Just it's profound. No idea. I lost you there. It's It's like how like Elon Musk did, right? I want to be in Mars in this year. So I need to start with a rocket. The current rockets are too expensive. We just keep asking a question because you want to get there and you get to the answer. It's like, are you really strong? Do you want to do it? It just boils down to that.
Okay.
People have,
So first you establish the goal and then you pass it. Yes. Okay.
I want to create a great sneaker. It should look good. It should be carpeted, whatnot. Right? And you just keep solving. Like eventually you would get to what you have to do. And if you are incapable of being intellectually honest with yourself or be driven to get what you want, then it won't happen, right? But I mean, humans have done it, right? For thousands of years, like to travel the world, gone to space, whatever. Like,
Yeah, look at everything around you, right? Like at the end of the day, it's
so make
where's it nice sneakers and alcohol, like
I just wanted to drink, so I just started making
exactly.
That was my achievement.
Why that? What was like the first move that you made that actually made you feel like a founder? And like it doesn't come from like making a logo or like something like that. Some big power decision that you guys took.
GST registration.
GST turns.
No, yeah. So, in my head, see, the day I started thinking that okay, I'm going to do this. The first change that happens when you work and when you're working like for somebody else is that you have to do everything yourself, and that is the switch. When you know that you have to do everything,
Yeah.
and when you're working in a job, you don't have to care so much. Like you have to just like do whatever is told. So the switch automatically came when I knew that, okay, I'm starting my own enterprise. I don't have the luxuries. I have to do it like A to Z. And that founder mode, I think it came to me automatically because I've always been a hustler. I've always, in fact, one of the first things that I did to earn money, and this was back in school, is that, we had dry days, right, in school. Yeah. And what I would do is I would go buy hordes of alcohol, keep it with me, and sell it to my friends and have a drink from them. And sell it to them at MRP, okay? No process. Yeah, no margins because I would get a drink. No, my thing was that
side marks.
Still ethical. Too ethical. Okay, what was the first decision that you made that made you feel like a founder?
I mean, for me personally, I don't think it's ever like, oh, I'm a founder, so cool. It is mostly like everything that you're doing, it is because you want to do it. Nothing is ever imposed on you. It's a very good alignment in what you want to do and the things that you're doing.
Right.
And it might be the shittiest thing ever. It might be whatever, but there is never any conflict between what you're doing and what you want to do. I think that is the best thing of being a founder.
To me, the day I resigned for work, like for the first 2 months, I was doing BAME and Gallats, like try to juggle between the two things. But
Wow.
September is
How do you get the time? Because my brother used to work with Bain as well, like, and he's been a management consultant. I don't see him breathe like through the week. Like how have you used?
damn nice. Like,
Okay.
It just went.
I hope you gave him or her free sneakers.
I just went and told him that, this is something that I'm trying to write work. So it would be nice if you could, spare yourself time or
does not question me too much. I will get the work done.
Yeah.
Even if I don't have to go deep into it myself. So he was really helpful in the first 3-4 months. But then other people screw hey, bro, why is he leaving? So where is he? So I not this time you put down your papers and
Nice.
let go for plan B. That is when things became weird. That is when I started feeling that, this is
It.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is what you want to do and this is what you don't want to go back to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now we'll move to now we've heard both your stories, and we'll move to the interesting segments, which is the brand view and the culture about your brands, right? Both your brands feel like subcultures, not just products. Or is building a whole world around a product actually involved? So you guys have built worlds around your product, right? It's not just a sneaker, it's not just a gin, it's an entire ecosystem that you've built. And what does that look like for you?
Okay, so I think, first, for me, it was defining a set of values.
Correct.
So, and that is what I saw, that this is what I will, whether it's Cherrapunji or any future products, this is what I'm going to do in this industry. So for the first things first was, we will make it from the place, which is where I manufacture, right? We will not go outside the region to go and make it somewhere else. Be honest and be true to who you are and where you are.
Yeah.
Secondly, be good to the place where we manufacture. So, the use of rainwater, right? and the use of steel bottles, right? Why do we use steel bottles? Because A, it's reusable. B, it's much more lighter. It's 1/5, 1/6 the weight of a glass bottle, which means you can ship more in the same shipments, less carbon emissions. Third thing is that the recyclability rate of steel in India is more than 90%, and glass is that of 30% or above. Which means that even if you decide not to use it as a water bottle, and let's say it goes to the kabari wala, it will find its way back to being recycled. So it's really, really good and sustainable. It costs a lot more money, but I think it's of value. People can use it as a water bottle. Even if you give it to somebody else, like people can make money of it by selling it simply to the kabari wala. Thirdly, it comes as an advantage to us because the bottle is so light. When we ship internationally, when we put it in pallets, then that is when we realize that, now we're saving a lot more money on shipping.
Money, correct, right?
And the other value, the other thing that I said, like when I was building the company, was that we will source locally. We will not source from outside. We will not get our juniper berries from some exotic country in Europe, right? It's not required because that's not our philosophy. Our philosophy was always to build from the place.
Correct.
Right. So with these set of values, I started and I said, I'm going to build a company which is again really, really original.
Yeah.
We will not get out of this framework. Like you said, it's very important to have a framework. And whether with this product or any future product that are coming, it will be in the same line. So it's very important to have that framework in your head before you start anything.
Correct.
And of course, frameworks do evolve. That's also okay.
I feel like your brand has been super authentic to what it has claimed, right?
Yes.
Why do you not like the word authentic? Because we've also been working and we've done discoveries, and that's how your name came up, and that's a whole different story.
See, authenticity matters for sure.
Yeah.
Along with it, originality also matters, right? You can be authentic and shitty.
Yeah.
Authentically shitty. Yeah. You can be authentically shitty, but when you present an idea which is like really beautiful, really original, people tend to take notice of it.
Correct.
Right? Look at the graphics in my bottle. Nobody expected like it's beautiful, right? On this sort of thing. And the designer Rishi did a wonderful job on this. The whole idea was to depict the place in a very modern way, a new aesthetic which has not been seen in the liquor world before.
Yeah. So that's what I meant by this question, right? What have been the touch points with your brand in the ecosystem that you feel like, this has brought the brand together, or this has made the world?
See, a brand is again, there's sub stories. So people know Cherrapunji is the rainiest place on earth. So that has a ring. Secondly, the physical representation of it, which is the metal bottle and the graphics, that itself is again another touch point. And the third thing which does help is that, we started selling internationally and started getting global recognition way early in our journey. And that really helped establish like, these guys are doing something good.
You think the part of where you went global first before actually selling in India, apart from Northeast, was that a part of the play?
It was not by design, but it just happened. It just happened, and it became a big advantage for us because people started discovering us outside, and they said, "Hey, what is this product that we don't get everywhere, but then we're getting in our country and not in most parts of India?"
Right.
And that actually probably did help in a way because people were discovering our product in travel retail quite a bit.
Exactly.
And that's always helpful.
No, I was at the duty free and they were like, "Cherrapunji le lo," and I'm like, yeah, T3. It's always there.
Very strong salespeople.
Yeah. And they pushed, like they were like, buy this, and I was like,
Yeah, it feels Delhi. Duty free feels like Delhi.
Yeah, Sarojini.
yeah.
So
Like this guy looks like a appreciator of subcultures.
Yeah.
Less.
Right. No, but they know their subcultures clearly. What were the touch points for you was to like build the world?
I think the subculture bit is like very intentional for us. Like it will be the manifesto that is the first piece of literature we put down before the brand started. And again comes from very deep personal experiences as well. People to boy us. Like I said, like I've grown up playing a lot of football, lot of hip hop, lot some theater as well. And also like the both of us, because we lived in so many like different parts of the country, it just feels like
when somebody talks of dance or when somebody talks of, let's say, football or any subculture or rap, for example, right? Its context in India is very different from how people perceive it globally, right? The struggles are different.
Very rightly said. Yes.
Everything is different. I was talking with Joy and Mrs. Ware about this, like in their podcast, like Rally culture, for example.
Correct.
Given the weather in India, like a New York-based rock club can't do justice to a Delhi-based rock club.
100%.
You're talking different weather conditions, different road conditions. Like always, there's always a risk of somebody running over, right?
Yeah.
So, like, that is what we wanted. That is what we set out to build. Like, we wanted to tap into these subcultures also because they are sneaker adjacent, right? You can't, like, shoe and dance are very, very integrated. And how basketball and shoe are integrated in the West. And for India, if you look at how people grow up, especially dances, right? A lot of this section is not super affluent. And also, like, they have their root interests and they're very deeply passionate about the space. But like everybody's wearing Jordans because that is the hype and that is what people like aspire to wear eventually. Because there is no aspiration around any Indian wear. He aspires to wear like there is this brand that I want to wear.
No, now there are lots of examples, right? Now you see a Cardo, now you see a Karu, and like very interesting ones. Gully Labs, big example.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I hope like people feel that way about us.
No, people do. Yeah.
When I used to like learn, and then when I was into like the whole hip hop senior, like my aspiration was like these are 10 dances I follow. They're all either wearing Jordan or a Vans old school. I could go back in college like in the old school also. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is what I want to wear when I grow up.
Yeah.
Right. So I never aspired to wear any Indian brand. There were none around me that creation top. So that was a deep sort of reflection, and that is what we want to change. And that's like changing the scene in like true sense or building the culture is how we sort of felt about starting this grind, and that is why we actively even now, and we want to keep doing this being actively is to just tap into these subcultures individually. And
Tell me more about your consumer. Like, who is the person who's buying from your brand? Because I'll tell you my thought behind this, right? With a lot of Indian brands coming out of India, or like to look at like a Karthik Research is a brand, right? And that why a Karthik Research is aspirational because I know it's at a Mr. Porter or it's at Selfridges and it's an expensive brand. I see Lewis Hamilton wearing it. So I'm like, dude, this product is aspirational, something that's come out of India. With you, he built an Indian product for the global market. And then it trickled down, it came back to us, and then we were like, oh wow, global, I want a piece of it. Right? With you, the journey has been so organic that you've launched in India for India and still so heavy in terms of like intense in terms of the kind of design that you guys do. Yeah.
So I think one is, of course, when it comes to price point, with all of these sort of discussion and questions, we wanted to build a good product because aspiration can't come from a subpar product, right? It will make a bad shoe, it will make a bad looking or a bad quality t-shirt or like whatever. People don't aspire to buy something out of the price commands or the kind of people who are wearing it. That is maybe the first layer. Like I see Lewis Hamilton wearing it, of course. Karthik Research is obviously a very good brand.
They believe it, yeah.
All these brands that happen. Yeah. And let's say that there were different brand that was not as good as Karthik Research, right? Maybe an inferior quality fabric, inferior quality embroidery sets coming out and stuff like that. I see Lewis Hamilton wearing it, I buy it. But then all the threads are coming off, like I wear it and the apparel breaks down. My aspiration ends there and the hate for things that are made in India grows. Because like I wanted to buy something, spent a lot of time designing it, finally got it, and it ended up being as subpar as all the other Indian brands.
Correct.
Right? So that is what we never want to do this, which is why...
But I don't think it's the manufacturing problem of subpar products, right? Because if you look at Zara also, if you look at H&M also, they have sort of long-lasting products that are at the end of the day made in India.
I would say there's always a chance. Like,
right.
H&M, like, there's a chance what you get is long-lasting versus like something that...
Exactly. Sure, it depends on which manufacturer they've chosen for that particular product. Yeah.
With a new brand that is out there to find a space, you can't afford to risk it.
Yeah.
People can question comfort, etc. because those are like iterations you reach a certain point. But the quality of materials is something you should not compromise now. And that comes at a certain cost that naturally triples the price of the product as well. So
long story short, we wanted to build an aspirational brand. Aspiration comes with quality. Quality naturally like appeals to sort of a certain mass. So right now, the kind of customers we have in the 1.5 years of us being out there is like anyone who appreciates up. We call them experience seekers, right? That is how to address our customers. Like anybody who is into the cultures, who's likely to really use it for
Correct.
who's like
Your opinion leaders, basically.
or people who have opinions, people who let's say who go TCRC concert,
Correct.
and anyone who's like just like wanting to try interesting stuff and believes that believe in the big Indian story. I think that is the kind of people we've attracted.
Correct.
We've been like very deeply involved with the brand.
Were the both of you involved deeply in culture before you launched? Like, did you have an idea of like bands like PCRC existing? And
Plus,
yeah,
we did have like, of course, that has increased now. We are as deep as we are now, but like there are spaces that we've experienced very personally as well. Like I said, like he plays a lot of ball, so he has like a deep sort of understanding. He was into weightlifting, like just the core variant thing, and I was deep into hip hop and dance.
all right.
Lord, that really
Correct.
a lot of time spent learning that, and then football obviously. So these are all spaces where we irrespective of which space you're in, you understand how people's passion drive them to like look at a certain sort of perspective, look at things in a certain perspective,
Correct.
and that translates into all domains. Like
One word that you use is aspiration, right? And like it is an aspirational product, but is it? Do you not see price as a definer of aspiration?
I don't think price.
Because you're very well priced.
Yeah, I don't
for the Indian market.
aspiration at all.
Okay.
Like you said, like if it is a product that I want to own because the brand represents something, the product represents something, and it is like I know it is a good quality part. Like I will not be disappointed. I would actually be happy.
Yeah.
Not be disappointed is again the bare minimum. But I know how to operate on bare minimum. When I buy it, I will actually be happy that I spent some time. It is like you wanting to date a girl.
Yeah.
You spend 2 years chasing, and then when you start dating, you're like, what the hell is going on?
Ye kya hai?
Ye kya hai, man? Ye like a ball. Like more than what is happening in the relationship, will be disappointed that spend 2 years like watching this. This is how it turned out, right?
Yeah.
Like looking at price as aspiration is probably like looking at a shadow. It is sure it is aspirations priced at that point of time, but when the brand built itself, it wasn't the price that led to the brand.
Correct.
It was everything else.
So
It is looking at data historically, if I may say.
yeah.
Show the prices, whatever. Show the product is quality is this. Show there is aspiration, but surely price did not lead that aspiration. It was what everything that the brand does communicates, and that is product, that is quality, that is after sales, that is perception of boots, like what people are wearing and so on and so forth. Right?
Correct.
It is everything else the brand does that creates aspiration. Price is oftentimes a byproduct. It is never price that creates aspiration.
Okay, fair. That's a great shout, and that's what I actually believe in. And for me, how I think about aspiration also is through the story of the brand. Tomorrow, if I take out a bottle of Cherrapunji, I love talking about the story of the brand. Like, you know what I mean? Like how it's made from distilled water, how it's from the genius place on earth, and like you can really sell the brand by just talking about it. Nobody gives a fuck about about the price, right? Like when you're I wouldn't say, oh, this bottle is for 20,000 rupees. Like how I'd sell a blue label, you know what I mean, by Johnny Walker. Like I'd just be like, this bottle is expensive, I can own it. Fuck that. Like how I can really sell Cherrapunji is the story with it. Same with a brand like Gully Labs. Like your aspiration really, both of your aspirations come really from how deep the stories are.
Yeah.
But I should never leave the narrative. I think
Exactly.
I should never say that, okay, this is a Cherrapunji bottle for $8,000
Correct.
because of these factors.
It's not
always any other way around. It should be like, this is a brand
Yeah.
that we really like because of these factors.
Exactly.
And then you let people infer and sort of delight by it is priced in a certain way. Maybe because a lot of people, not everybody will understand, but maybe some people will understand that, quality or everything that you're associating with the brand comes at a certain sort of cost, and that is what led to rise. And if people find a way of manufacturing or making a really good quality product at a
let's lower price, right? Like everybody should they should do it. Boldly do it. That is, and I think the greatest brands never sort of defend their pricing and everything.
Correct.
Like people just get it and they
People get it.
right?
Yeah.
So what really happens with craft brands, any craft brand is, and the difference between an industrial brand and a craft brand is that I'll tell you how I started making the gin and the botanicals I chose. I just said this botanical looks interesting. Let me get it and let me start making a recipe. I never called up a supplier and say, hey, can you give me 20 botanicals? I want to test it out. Because in that part of the country, there were no suppliers first of all. So I had to go to the market. I had to go and work with farmers. Say, I love the orange. I said, okay, take the whole orange. Now we have to take off the peel, find somebody to take the pulp. Initially, there was no takers. Then dry it ourselves. So these are the things that drives up the cost. Again, I'm working with very rare ingredients, right? And it's not an industrial process. Why does most of the gins start tasting the same? Because they get it from a similar set of suppliers and they in turn have their own supply chain. हाँ इसका 10 टन मिल जाएगा 100 टन मिल जाएगा. Yes, you will get. In our case, we will not. Even if I want to make 1,000,000 bottles, I can't make 1,000,000 bottles with that kind of supply. So therefore, if it is rare, if it is priced high, I will pass on the cost to the buyer, right? And then that is what it is.
That's what defines price.
Yeah, that's what defines price. If you put in a lot of effort, if it has taken time, money, effort to make the product, that defines the how we price it, right? And steel bottles are expensive, but it is of a certain value.
So these steel bottles are more expensive than
Yes.
sausages. Okay.
Yes, it is. But it is of value. It is of value to us and also to the consumer.
Yes. No, that absolutely makes sense. Moving on to the next question that we have, what's one thing that you refuse to compromise on even if it costs you scale or speed? Like from a brand lens or a brand ethos point of view.
Product, I would say product quality. There is no alternative to speaking about quality product. With the choice of materials, with like I'm sure with growth, we will have more R&D capabilities as well. So we want to keep refining the product, no matter what happens. Like how the dynamic shift, we will this is a firm belief that, like I said, aspiration and product quality should always be like very, very correlated. So that is one thing we never want to farm. Think from my perspective, it is taking one more meta step as customer experience. We would scour Reddit reviews, Twitter and whatnot. If anyone has ever had any issue with any product, we want to call them immediately. And we faced issues with certain pairs a certain number of times, right? Always putting out a new line, like they would be kings and whatnot. We'd always want to replace and get them the best shoe that they've paid for. And a bad customer sitting anywhere, that is sort of unacceptable totally.
What's your manufacturing facility? Like how many sneakers are you able to produce in a day? Or is it like that, or is it just collection wise you have limited drops?
I think we make ongoing lines.
Okay.
Of course, some of them are capsule drops.
Correct.
They come and they go away. But yeah, right now, we're between 2,000 to 4,000 a month kind of a range.
Okay, that's a lot of sneakers.
Yes, yeah. But then, our factory has a lot more capacity. So
growing. Hope the podcast helped.
Yeah,
Same thing for you. What's one thing you refuse to compromise on, even if it costs you scale or speed?
So we deal with something which is It's an agricultural product, right? You have to take those botanicals in. Sometimes, the crop is not great. Sometimes the prices are high. Sometimes, there's just limited quantity available. And in that case, we'll sell less. I will not replace it with something else. Whatever we've decided to put in the gin, it's okay. It's okay to sell less because the promise remains the same, that I'll give you the same quality in every bottle, every taste. We will not compromise on the ingredients because we do have supply chain issues when it comes, because it is the rainiest place on earth for a reason, and then crops grow bad, there are problems. And then sometimes there is when we dry the product, there is fungus in the product, we throw it away. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to say that I'll replace this with Nagpur orange and then just scale it. So I don't want to do that. I'll never do that. And this is the one thing that I'll never compromise on. And the other thing that I don't ever compromise on is my own team and how I communicate with them. there's a very open line of communication that I have. It's like you see, there's a long table that we sit in,
Right.
and it just feels good to be connected to the people.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there was a choice of between, let's say, doing external communication or let's say internal communication, I'll do internal communication / team building first rather than external, because I think having a great bunch of people really matters. And I do have a great bunch of people working for me. I think that can actually change the fortunes of a startup. If you have really good people, a really good team.
Exactly.
Yeah. So these are two things that I don't compromise on.
So I think both for you and for the both of you, it's been the one thing that has been similar is like the quality of the product is something that none of you can compromise on.
And that I think comes down to your company culture or what you are actually settling down or accepting this stuff that is maybe not 100% is like a one-way road to mediocrity. And really you are one of the 1,000 others peddling.
Yeah.
And
you can't live with that value yourself. You can't say that as founders that, okay, I will make high quality products, and if your team doesn't believe in it, they'll let quality slip out.
100%.
So you need to be connected to your team in order for them to imbibe the same value, and then deliver a great product every time.
Yes. I see the common table. I see the thought process. Right. Design wise, how do you know what's on brand? Is it like gut systems or like a team process?
Gut.
I'm suspect. I yesterday framework is like super important. Whether it's a product, whether it's a content piece, whether it's a creative. Sometimes like it is hard to assess like a plain creative objectively, but having frameworks and just things ticking off boxes.
Who takes care of design between the both of you? Both of you do, but like who's heading it? Or
Say look at product design and content. Arjun looks at that and visuals.
okay.
For me, like if I look at a speaker as an extension of the brand, there is a few framework on what those elements are, how a contemporary Indian piece should look like, super content pieces, the messaging, the buckets that it is covering, the visuals, etc. Everything like it is like internally there's the framework needs to sort of every piece needs to go through that framework check, and that's
And
Andy, when there is something that does not fit the framework, would you feel good about it? Like, yeah, your girl learned there's a pass.
And also great. So you'll have to be able to spot talent when it comes to design. You need to work with the right people.
correct.
And because you may have original thinking, but when you work with great people, they also bring in a lot of value. For example, in your case, somebody did the pile thing, right? The gungroot thing, right? So if you get great people together, you have better ideas.
Yes.
Especially in the creative fields, you definitely need like a like people with other lived experiences coming on your side. Otherwise, you have stuck thinking.
Absolutely. And that's what makes you iterate, like with teams, with people.
Yes.
So your whole organization's level or thinking ends at your thinking,
Correct.
right? Because whatever your level is, that's the last that everybody can grow to. So you have to meet new people. You have to get more experiences. You have to read more books. You have to educate yourself.
Yeah.
And that's how you'll grow. And when it comes to design, again, you have to collaborate with people who have an understanding of it. And it's not that you just outsource the whole thing, right? You need to give your thinking, your perspective, and
Work together.
work together.
Yeah.
I think they have something in our sort of hiring system called as the +1 philosophy. Like if someone new coming to the org knows as good or maybe lesser than what we know as founders, then probably you're not the best hire. You need to come in and do +1. Like otherwise, like you as founders, you can't be the best at a specific thing. Because if that is the case, then you are on a one-way ticket to be doomed, right? And so cohort people who can do +1, which like in my mind, your org is a bubble. Who's that person coming and pushing the bubble forward?
Yeah. Great.
No, I agree. What have you seen other Indian brands do that makes you cringe a little?
Uh,
We gonna start? start. I think for it's been like ये जिनका नाम ये रख दिया और बना तो कहीं और रहे हैं.
So that is one. The second is just using anglicized names and just copying. I just hate it when people copy.
Yeah.
Right, that's something. There's a shoe brand, I won't name it, and they copy the logo from a international brand, and it's so cringe, and it sells well in India.
I have no idea what you guys are doing.
It's not good to but yeah, it's when you just copy and sell, that's something that's cringe to me. You should not do that. You should have some honesty. Correct.
But then if, I mean, follow-up question, if people do not care, like if consumers don't care, because it's
Consumers won't care. It's fine. You have a responsibility, because at the end of the day, you don't want to be a nation of copiers, right? You also represent your country at some level, right?
we're all trying to raise the collective bar.
That time has changed. Like, 20 years back, 30 years back, you could do that because we had a lack of framework or thinking. Now is not the time to do that. Now is the time to come up, because see, remember that we are a world power now, right? And the representation of it is brands and products. And if we continue to copy and then, have shitty things, products, it is not going to show well as a country, right? And I think it is our collective responsibility to make products which are high quality, number one, and with some original thinking. Just don't copy. And especially plain copying is really, really bad.
It's a part of like your soft power, right?
It is.
As a country.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The dystopian downside is, what if nobody cared?
But people do care.
Yes. Well, that part, otherwise we couldn't exist.
Exactly.
Believe it. That is what we believe it. But what if nobody cared?
If we were a banana republic, I think, it doesn't matter. But I think we're a global power. People look up to India. And, if we don't make good stuff, then,
And now it's when like icons from India has started to come out in their halls, right? Like, and like it's time for us to shine the new brown era.
100%.
Look at what Diljit did.
Exactly.
Right? Look at the way he went into the Met Gala. Right?
Yeah.
Completely original.
It's a big middle finger.
It's a big middle finger. And it is that time for this country.
Correct. The new brown era, as we call it, if you write multiple articles about it, like go on my Medium and like check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For us, it's like people use community and culture loosely. Yeah. Because those are two easiest, like, available words.
Correct.
You want to build a band, like, you will just say community and two DJ sets, culture is hits, northern hits, and that is culture is.
They're not even rich.
Yeah, or the borrowed expensive flows.
Yeah.
I think the sad state is that is what culture and community building has been reduced to. Right. Also, because acquiring a skill is hard, right? Not everybody can or wants to own a skill, right? Like if you get a bunch of dancers, or if you get a bunch of good rappers or musicians or athletes.
So how's the party that you attended last night?
Good community building. Good community building. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like it is not easy to accept that you don't have the skills being showcased in front of you,
Right.
to get to sort of admire what is happening, right? Skill-based community building is almost absent, and that is something, at least I personally just absolutely hate. When I hear and when I see banners of community-led events, community participation, etc., and all that I see at those events is just nobody interacting, everybody drinking, DJ sets, people dancing for 2 hours and leaving, right?
Yeah.
I just don't think that is it can be one aspect of community building, maybe, where people just similar kind of bobbers get together, but community events can't just be bobbers.
Both gin and sneakers are hot categories in 2018, 2019, 2020. How did you make sure yours stood out and stayed relevant?
I think, yes, you're right. Gin was trending quite a bit back then. And we came in at the fag end with the, let's say, the gin revolution, where it started tapering off, and then the tequila and the mezcal revolution started coming in. Of course, we can't make tequila in our region because we don't grow agave. number one. And you can't call it tequila in India anyway.
But there are brands.
You can call it agave.
Agave pure.
Yeah. But it grows mostly in Andhra, Telangana, that side. So it's not that we can't build a tequila, but again, my idea was not to ride on a wave.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make something really, really high quality. And gin was one of the products where I thought, again, this whole rain story, botanical story was coming really, really nicely, coming together as a product. So I thought, gin was something that if my belief was that if I make something really high quality and thing, it doesn't matter whether it's trending or not.
Correct.
It will stick, and it has, right? There were many gin brands in India around 2018-19, even till about 2022. Many of them have even shut shop.
Yeah.
So, because see, again, the infrastructure in Goa was and is that if you can deliver a pizza, you can make a gin.
Yeah.
That's how it is. Easy it is. Because you have a contract manufacturer, you just come up with some recipe.
How much capital you require to do something like that?
I don't know about Goa, but for us, it's very, very intensive. But yes, I may have an idea. I don't know about the minimum quantities, etc. that they do. But we spent a lot of money developing our recipe, a lot of time that was spent. But usually if you go to a contract manufacturer, there will be standard recipes. There are minor variations here and there, and they'll give it to you. You find a product packaging designer, you order your labels, you get your bottle from China or from India, and then you just roll it out. And it's not so difficult. Your go-to market time is probably 3 months, 4 months, 6 months.
What about licensing?
See, in licensing takes longer, but in our case, it's different because it's a completely different category of bottles itself. If you're a glass bottle and if you're a standard gin and all of that, all you need is excellence in operations, which is in liquor operations. For example, the people that we have are core liquor people in terms of sales and ops. And that is very, very important. I'm not from liquor. So I did not understand what were label registrations, what was the route to market, how do you register in each state, and what are the kind of fees that you have to pay. And so we got a great team together, and who helped me, and
License,
not license, guide, and how to enter market. So that is one capability in liquor that everybody must have. You can make a brand very easy. You can make a product by contract manufacturing, but if you don't have your core ability of understanding the complex landscape of liquor legislation in India, your company is less likely to succeed.
Got it. What was it like for you guys to you started a sneaker brand when the sneaker markets are declining, like when the hype sneakers are there with no Jordans, brilliant time to launch. But what was that journey like? How do you come about the idea that now that the sneaker market is going down, you come up with a brand of your own?
I mean, it was never that calculated that we are tracking the market and finding the best entry point. It was all about making something that did not exist. If something like Gully Labs was there at that point of time, I don't think this company would have been there. So it was literally, from our perspective, filling a gap that never was filled by anyone.
Were you guys a part of the sneaker hype? Did you ever buy into the best Jordans?
I had a bunch of sneakers.
Yeah.
But I don't think we were building a hype brand. That's one. Sneaker hype started dying in the last 3-4 years. But sneaker as a purchase commodity for people to buy shoes, people to just own shoes. That's
correct.
Fault. Plus, we were never building a product-based brand only, right? We were building a brand that was inspired by India and cultural elements. And like you said, this is when it's peaking actually and not declining. The wave of Indianization around the globe, etc. So our goal was to build a strong brand that had a very strong identity that people could relate to. And sneaker was at the core of that brand.
Correct.
So that is what we set out to build.
Did you find the story first or did you find the product first? Because with Mayukh, he said he found the story first, that hey, Northeast has such a deep cultural heritage and the story, and he wants to put something out there, and then he commoditized that story.
There was always a story first. There's a manifesto there. And finally, that manifesto mentions gin as a point of inspiration because it is one of the original things that was happening in the contemporary India, right?
Wow.
All these amazing gins that are out there, I never even think about now buying a Bombay Sapphire
Correct.
because there's just so many better choices apart from that.
Yeah.
And that was a point of originality, which is mentioned in a manifesto. The brand did start from a manifesto, which sort of got us into making content that talked about why such a brand needed to exist. And that content got us our first sort of 50 customers that just paid up for a sneaker. They had no idea what it looked like or when it was going to come. So that is how the sort of journey actually started. So it was always like what Gully Labs
Stood for.
what it was trying to fill that did not exist ever.
Yeah. So both of your stories somehow, like it was story play more than like a commodity play, which you don't see with a lot of brands these days, right? People find the product first, people find the white space in the market for a product like that, and then you come up with the story and the branding and things like that.
Yep. Like, Gully Labs is a brand that sells sneakers rather than a sneaker brand that is Gully Labs.
Do you think Indian consumers understand exclusivity and you feel like your brands are sort of exclusive, or like you just treat it as marketing?
I think we're a pretty inclusive brand. I mean, like anybody can buy our product. I mean, it's only reserved for a certain set of customers. If you have the taste, if you understand gin and how different our gin is, you're more likely to buy our product. Anybody who's tasted this or has even heard about us, because our product is very differentiated.
Correct.
If you do a blind taste, even with like anybody out there on the street who hasn't even had gin ever, they'll say, okay, these are 9 different types of gin and this is different. Right? So we've differentiated our packaging, we've differentiated, our story is differentiated. The taste is differentiated by the virtue of the botanicals and the rainwater that we use. So yeah, so if there is differentiation, people are likely to choose the product. I don't say that I'm only going to sell to a certain set of customers. If you love gin, if you love a high quality product, you can come in.
That's what makes it exclusive at the end of the day, right? Like if you're saying that you have an understanding of gin, that makes it exclusive on its own, because a lot of people don't, or like
True. That is. I mean, like first you have to be a drinker.
correct.
So you take that set out.
Yeah.
Then you have to be a gin drinker. So then again, you'll have to say that, okay, now this guy is able to, differentiate between good gins and bad gins. And that is the set of customers that we are looking for. We're not looking for the first time drinker who wants to have a sip of gin. That's not who our core customer is. And most of the people that buy us are repeat customers. Like, we have a lot of repeats. People think that we have a pretty bottle and it just takes there's so many repeat customers because the taste just gets stuck.
Correct.
Like, it's one of those things, right? If you have a Lagavulin, okay, this is a Lagavulin, you'll go back again and again and again. Like, it's one of those things. Like in liquor also, like even in whiskeys, there are certain whiskeys which are completely distinguished. For example, if you have a Yamazaki, it's a Yamazaki, right? It's different from the rest. So that's what I'm trying to build. I'm trying to build something which is different.
Have you had a Yamazaki? Yeah. My suggestion was we raid Mayukh's bar after this.
Yeah.
Like an extensive collection of like.
Yeah, I've got a lot of sakes, a lot of sochus, one sochu and a lot of sakes, yes. So my bar, it's actually a travel bar because, whenever I travel, my idea is to always get a bottle of something nice. And again, most of them are souvenirs which I actually use. And I keep replenishing because I travel quite a lot. And I like to drink the best of the world. And, because I travel to most parts of the world, I think I tend to pick up really, really nice stuff. So in fact, there's an article yesterday on the Mint also where they asked me, what do you pick up when you travel? And I usually pick up, and when I travel to Europe, it's usually an Armagnac or a Calvados. And sometimes also a Grappa. So that's if it's from European travels. But if it's Japan travel, it's always like a sochu or a very, very nice sakes that they have. So yeah, so I'm pleased there. I mean, after the podcast, yes, we will have a tasting session.
Yes, but what does exclusivity mean to you?
I think as a brand, and this is my take, I'm sure Animesh will have his, but we want to be very inclusive as a brand. But for people who are in the brand, we really want to reward them as people who've been, and we've done a lot of things to reward people who've been there from the start, who joined us on the journey, is to find ways to give back to them. Like in January, we created a 10 pair, sort of 10 shoe edition that was given to like 10 people from our community, you know. And these are things that you continuously want to give back to the people who have who are basically, I would say, joining the movement or everything that Gully Labs is and what it stands for. But from the outside in, there's no point sort of saying that you can't get in because of this or that. Like we want to have points where people can access us and try us like more easily and more efficiently because, otherwise what's the point of it?
Yeah, the product is great. You have a market for it.
Yeah, I don't want to build a brand which is snooty and says that don't come and, that's not what I'm trying to build.
Because there are enough streetwear brands that thrive on like snootiness or like
From India?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Very much.
Have you been in a store somewhere where you go and you're feeling okay, like, can I ask the person a question? Am I like feeling welcomed or not?
I roll different.
Maybe you to this bit, at times we are still like that, right? Like what is that vibe, right? For us, it is about having that welcoming vibe and then rewarding people who are with us on that journey, right? And we like there's just tons of places you want to do that.
Correct. Make it more inclusive.
Inclusive, yeah.
Yeah.
And then take people on a journey with you.
As long as they buy into the philosophy of your brand. So that, and if somebody is not buying into that philosophy, then they're out of that circle.
And that's what makes it exclusive.
Yeah, that's what makes it exclusive. But my thing is that I hate being snooty and saying that you cannot have me, you cannot. Yeah, that's not cool. And that's very old school, I feel.
And that's very disrespectful.
Correct.
Disrespectful and old school, I think, it's like a gentleman's club where you have to wear like copper shoes, That's not what the brand I'm trying to build. Like, look at how inviting my graphics are. Like,
Correct.
it's not like snooty and upright. Not at all.
Where you by demographics, we already exclude a lot of people from a general cult following.
Correct.
Right? India as a country, I don't think you should intentionally exclude people, right? Like, maybe a lot of people don't understand designs. Maybe a lot of people also don't understand Jill, right? But if you give them access, it also feels like a sort of a personal responsibility to bring people on a journey, right? How will someone ever appreciate something if you don't tell them what you're building, right? Without that manifesto, nobody knows what Dirty Labs is.
Correct.
They don't know what we are building, right? And somebody who does not know what exists will naturally lean towards the West to appreciate what they're making because they are more vocal and they've always sort of advertised the cult pen. So I don't think anybody should ever exclude people intentionally. You build a taste threshold or you build a whatever form of threshold that is, that this is how we want to preach our brand. People who understand that will naturally join the cult. And as a brand, your responsibility is to keep preaching that.
Correct.
This is how we are honest and authentic. If you trust and if you believe in this story, if you believe that, we can do something cool and original, come join us, come follow us, you have answers. If you don't believe it, you get excluded by the virtue of not believing in what is happening around you.
Correct.
So I think that is what we very strongly believe in.
So one thing that I feel like we left out before we looked at it was the community and the culture angle, right? Like everybody wants to build a community first brand these days. What does a community actually mean to you?
Instagram page is not a community, at least we can all agree on.
DJ sets are not good. DJ sets are maybe 2% of community building.
How is that related? How is a DJ set with community?
Because that is all that we keep. Like I don't remember the last time I saw a brand actually do something to sort of surface a subculture that can actually sort of bring people together.
Correct.
and get them to talk or appreciate a skill. I think.
Yeah. But I feel like that's a global problem now. Like I used to think like, oh, yeah, यहीं पे है कि सब जो इंडिया में लोग देखते हैं एक दूसरे को DJ sets, wow. And like the other day I was going through like Instagram and like on my feed it pops up. Now that wellness is really big as a culture, right? Like everybody wants to go into like saunas, contrast therapies. It said of world's first DJ set inside a sauna and like it was somewhere in Europe and like it's not just an Indian problem of like doing DJ sets. I think like it's
let's just do DJ sets.
Yeah.
I'm saying there has to be a theme that brings like-minded. A community can't exist without like-minded.
Correct.
If there is no theme, if there is a DJ set where like just anybody can, like a bunch of people can come and sort of
like, it is good for people to enjoy themselves, but as someone who's like, I'm going there thinking I will be a part of a community, there's no homogeneity in that community, right? I will never meet these people again. Some people have come there for whatever, right? People are drinking, the music is loud, I spend 2 hours and I read.
Do you guys do influencer programs? Do you send out shoes to influencers?
Yep.
You do? You do? And how does that work out for you?
Works out pretty well. I think like a first blow up we had was because of Kush. He's like a sneaker lifestyle influencer. He posted a reel which was again like his honest review of a shoe. And that led to a lot of people believe that we're actually doing good stuff.
Yeah.
So it actually went viral because of that.
Yeah.
And like it was just purely organic. I think Animesh had sent him the pair, and he did ask him to like check it out and review it if he wishes.
Right.
So I think just working with influencers is just our way to put the word out, and you know, the influencers have their own way of telling the story which resonates with their audience, right? So it's a really great way of, you know, sharing what the brand is doing.
Wonderful. Does it you think like that? Well, what's your take on your community?
So our the way our industry is, which is the liquor industry, we are disconnected from our consumer by design because you don't know who's buying your product.
Like,
First of all, secondly, when we are exporting, we don't even know who's picked up the bottle. Having said that, where we are present, especially in the Northeast, we do a lot of activations, or let's say with the local. I won't say community, but with musicians who we support in a small way, and also bring the taste of our gin, because a lot of people want to sip the way that we intend to design it. Like for example, the gin sonic, or for example, one of the things that we do is play around with local ingredients. For example, you know, there is a Negroni, there are all kinds of cocktails. There's a dry martini, but you know, again, made with ingredients that are different, that are not even available, or maybe even if they are available, but nobody is doing something which is original. For example, nobody is making a Negroni with, let's say a local fruit. So what we do is play around with seasons. So for example, if there is a berry season in Shillong, what we'll do is we'll pick up the berry and start making a cocktail. So everything is limited, because again, we believe in the power of nature, that, you know, certain things are produced at a certain time and you just harvest that. And we give people a taste of that. So whenever we do any gig, any bar takeover, I don't like to do bar takeovers, but in a way, whenever we do cocktails and interact with the community, we try to give them an experience which they are not going to get the next time.
correct.
Because, you know, nothing should be a repeated, formatted thing.
It should be replicated.
It should not be replicated. Every time it should be, oh, this brand always brings something new. That's what my thinking is.
And that's wonderful thinking. And you spoke a lot about your culture as well, right? Like,
right.
This is more cultural than community. And once you're tapped enough into your own culture of what you're building, the community comes around. Like, you know.
Yeah. So I don't have like a community manager saying, you know, we will now send emails to 50 people, because we don't have access to that data anyway. Secondly, the thing is that, again, we don't do things like, in our industry, at least domestically, you're not allowed discounts. But even in travel retail, we say upright, sorry, no discounts. We do not offer discounts, because again, we cannot afford to. And the thing is that we build something that we believe in, right? And customers actually appreciate us for this. Go to duty free, there'll be offer after offer. Ours is the only brand that you'll not get any offer. The reason for that, and we say it upfront, that, you know, quality should not have a discount. Why should we discount a quality product, right?
Yeah, cases. Okay, also cases. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. That is a big, you know, if I have to bribe a customer to buy my product with some, you know, stupid free gift or some stupid thing. It's not that we don't give gifts around seasons. So for example, Christmas, we do give people a nice gift bag so that they can give. That's okay. But, you know, I will not sell you a suitcase. You know, if you're able to sell a suitcase in the price of 2 bottles, that means you have a lot of margin, man.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's a suitcase selling business, not the gin selling business, right? And like both of you had extremely interesting thoughts about like community and culture, and like I think we spoke about, when we were outside, we spoke about coffee days, and like everybody is replicating things one after the other, right? What do you feel about like the current dynamic of like, because speak to founders like you, and I work with founders like you, and like I don't know, like, and then I just open Instagram, and then like, okay, one person has done this coffee rave like a year ago, and now I'm still seeing कि अभी भी कोई ना कोई coffee rave चली रही है. So these past 8 months, once a week, I get 2 calls that let's do a coffee rave, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm speaking to the founder of like Lutekai also on our last podcast, Matt, and he's like, it's not the he runs one of the largest coffee businesses in India,
Of course.
and he's like, he said, I don't have a problem with it. Like they're cool and they're happening, but like it's not something that we actually believe in, right? Like, so why do you think these fad cultures like really come out?
Derivative cultures, like we said, right?
Right.
Somebody started this in the West.
Right.
People thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And then somebody brought it back to India, and then suddenly people started knowing that this is a derived sort of community building activity,
Right.
and then it just spread like wildfire. So
But I'm like all for coffee raves. Is people are going there and enjoying.
Right.
Like Kuramara Baripu.
Yeah.
I haven't been to one,
Yeah.
but I hope everyone's having a good time, man. And what
That's all right.
having more coffee raves if people are able to spend their time meaningfully, right? If they enjoy raving with the caffeinated high, or
It's not a caffeinated high. It's most of them are on like. Yeah, like the pure rave. No, but no hate on the culture. It's just that do you feel that as a society we lack like originality?
exactly, that is my
That's the question that I.
I don't disagree. I think
it's like saying what's wrong with everyone wearing Jordans? Then Gorilla should not exist. No, everyone should wear Jordans.
I think people who are enjoying wearing Jordans, they should wear Jordans. For at least for people who like Gully Labs, they can wear Gully Labs. But hey, I'm not gonna hate someone's choice to coffee rave or Jordan if
Yeah.
it's up to us to create a better alternative.
Exactly.
But we're not talking about the people who are going to those coffee days. There is a bunch of people who want to participate.
Exactly. The originality of the curation. Yes.
If I am doing coffee days, right, and if suddenly everyone starts doing coffee days, again there is a massive space where nobody wants to do original stuff. That is more local.
So I will hate our coffee shop store owners.
That's what he's talking
To
about.
do better if we are not okay with the collective participative hobby of simple easy coffee raves, right?
Yeah. No, I don't like people want to enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
They will find avenues. They will go and enjoy. If it's a coffee day, if it's a BJ set, if it's a swimming competition, whatever that is, like people will go.
Poolside raves.
Yeah. It is like there is a certain, again, this may sound like an idealistic thought, but there is a certain sense of responsibility on the ones organizing that as well. Even if maybe it's a new concept, maybe it's more local, like somebody coming from a small town in Delhi is like a city where most people like, there is strong influx, right? Growing up in a small town, let's say in Chhattisgarh or in some place in West Bengal, somebody comes and suddenly sees people doing coffee race. This is like alien concept. So I go now. There are 10 coffee shops around me. Everybody is doing coffee race. I don't understand coffee race. And there's something that is more local, more relatable. Like, there like something where I can just like meet new people.
But it's a pre-market, right? So if someone more enterprising, who comes up with a better, more aligned way of doing the Lex coffee rave,
That's what he's saying.
It's the same thing as like you not tapping into the Jordan story and you being like, hey, fuck that. I'm going to make something on my own. I'm going to make something original.
Yes.
Right. And if someone tomorrow is to make another brand like yours, you're going to be like, what the fuck? Like, it's as simple as that.
or feel appreciated that they took.
Sure, exactly. That's most of the times you feel really appreciated because you're like, hey, like this person is doing what we're trying to do, and it is usually a compliment to the founder. But like, do you think as a society we lack some level of originality because like we only find a few founders like yours?
I don't think I want to make a comment of the society because we are the society, right? But people we hang out and talk.
Correct.
So who is society, right? It's us. So we all have to collectively raise the bar and make the world a better.
Genre, yeah, phrase the career. I said,
Darling.
you are society, bro.
Yeah, you are the society.
I hope I'm doing a decent job.
All make the world a better place.
Says you. Yes. Okay. Like, you have thoughts on this?
On coffee raves, not object to see.
Those coffee raves, those like was like an example, but like originality is.
Yes. So, and I mean, the whole, I've spoken.
You name dropped like before, like you can name drop again.
Yeah, no, but the whole point is, yes, I think there needs to be more original thinking and original thinkers, and they were present. Trust me, like India as a society, we were original, right?
Correct.
And something happened. I think the colonial rule actually did suppress original thinking, and I think that's coming back. And I'm happy that at least from my part of the country, I'm doing my bit to be original. You guys are doing a fantastic job too. You are doing a fantastic job too. And I think collectively we all can raise the bar. And I think the younger customers or the people who are thinking will probably ask for more of brands like us, and not just like look for thing which are brands which are inspired or have a different country of origin, or at least in terms of the thinking. So I think we are at the beginning of this journey, and it's very important that we keep at it. And I think there will be more brands like us, and I'm going to be very happy across categories, right, where people are proud of making something in India with an Indian thought. And it's very important to manufacture here. A lot of people import and do stuff like in your business as well. But I think it's very, very important that you make here, because you'll have control, and also you'll have the ability to do original stuff. I think, so you'll have the infrastructure to make original things. If you don't have the infrastructure to make original things, you'll land up making, this white label products.
Yeah, good. Yeah, white label. And even if you white label, that's okay if there's some level of originality to it.
Yeah, like the t-shirt business, like,
Exactly.
As long as it is an inspiration and not a replica.
Correct.
I will never sort of hate or gatekeep anyone doing even this poppiest or lazy job. I think it is up to the next person to raise the bar, and then everyone realizes that the previous stuff is no longer palatable.
I didn't get it. It's listening.
For example, say 10, 15 years ago, right? Maybe Baskin Robbins goes the ship, right?
Yeah.
That was the best pastry.
Yeah.
That was the bar at that point.
Correct.
But now you have like, I don't know, Go or Creamery
Or even -30.
exactly, or like so many of them, right?
Right.
And they just all raised the bar.
Yeah.
And now suddenly Baskin Robbins is like a tier 2 ice cream shop.
Correct.
Everyone raised the bar. I will never hate on Baskin Robbins. You can call them, they did not innovate, but you can't hate them.
But they set the bar.
It set the bar, and now it's everyone's responsibility to raise the bar.
Correct.
And for them to sort of match them.
Remember, it's not like Baskin Robbins has gone out of business.
Exactly. Yes, it's still there, but people have more choice and more taste, and ultimately it's better for the consumer, right? If there are 1,000 brands, and I think India's barely scratched the surface for anything, right? Be it streetwear, be it alcohol or whatever. 1,000 brands, it just collectively raises the bar, and maybe there are less people drinking, I don't know, like say Starbucks for teachers or
That's a very interesting thought.
or H&M, right? There are people probably buying like, I don't know, like maybe massier version of almost gods that are true to what they do, right?
Actually.
And that is better for consumers. Why should we hate on someone when we have better ways to sort of make better outcomes for our customers?
Correct. And why said what I said earlier and what you said now is like you need 1,000 brands to like how many brands do we collectively know of? Like in total, even though I work in brand culture and like this is my day job, like I don't know more than like 1,000 brands across sector.
How do you even better? I think in streetwear
Yeah.
and apparel, I don't think there are more than 10 brands that are doing like stuff that are commercial enough and that are like raising the bar every day.
Correct.
There are more than 10. And if you look at a geography like US,
And well, what like now we've come back to the coffee rave conversation. It was just like nobody's raising the bar, and you agree with it.
Gotcha.
Originality and think like, yeah.
Okay, I choose to look at it as, hey guys, everyone, there is so much to be done here. Let's all come together to do it because you have markets to create and things to make.
Yeah.
Because the bar is low, right? That'll be my perspective. Rather than hating on someone doing a lazy job.
We're not kidding, like, there's a lot of people like it is important which is question that this is It's just wanting the thoughts out there.
I thought the question goes to more people and they're
Correct.
But coming back to coffee raves, I'll wait for it to cool down. I've never experienced one.
Yeah.
But I think it seems to me like a fad at the moment, and I think at the fag end of it, maybe I'll go and experience one for myself. But yeah, I mean, like anything that's a fad will go down, and if it is here to stay, it'll stay. We'll find out.
Agree.
Kunal's done a few.
I've never exactly. This is what I was gonna come to. I've never done a coffee rave. Yeah.
In my mind, I've probably seen you coffee raving attended or played at a
Never played a coffee rave. Never. I've never attended a coffee rave. Yeah.
And I like my coffee.
Yes. And that part, I love coffee, and I am a DJ.
It's just coffee without the.
It's just the thought of replicating, and that's what I don't stand for. Yeah. And that was the thought behind it. Which makes us move to the next question. What's one moment or pop culture influence that shaped your tone or taste, like inspirations?
My life has been largely shaped by old school brand because cola marketing back in the day was huge. So I think a lot of my life and a lot of my inspiration comes from cola marketing. And when I say cola, it is specifically Pepsi, because Pepsi did a wonderful job of marketing in India when it was seemed as like an alien brand.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it was always into youth and pop culture back in the day.
Yeah.
And then and in those days, I think most there were brands like the brands that you mentioned that wanted to look from the West, but Pepsi, which was a American brand, wanted to be Indian. Ye dil mange more, if you remember, right? So they really connected with the Indian audience, and at the same time, we had brands which were like Monte Carlo and all of that happening, right?
Right. You know of Monte Carlo, right? In the Indian, yeah, exactly. As simple as that. Yes, correct.
brand that opened in other.
Yes, yes.
And with that iconic triangular logo, all uncles would wear the sweater.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, there were no options, right? And I think so coming back to your original question of what shaped my thing, I think so Pepsi was definitely one, and I'm only speaking in the Indian context, not in the international, global context. And after that, I think what if you were to ask me, is there any brand that has probably shaped my thinking? It's always been Nike, and in their top thing, I think their marketing was top notch until 2020. I think when it started sliding down. Yeah, but I think their marketing was really, really inspirational, and I think everybody should learn from what they had done. And
I feel like your examples are great, right? Pepsi had one of the most iconic campaigns from 2000s.
Yes.
Till 2015, and I haven't seen a lot of Pepsi stuff lately. But like, if you've seen those ads when all of the Ogilvy, Piyush Pandey, the ones that Piyush Pandey did, and like the
he never did anything for Pepsi.
No.
Piyush Pandey was always working on Coke and so this was done always at the place I used to work for. It's called JWT.
Okay.
And Ye Dil Mange More, Akshay Chauhan had written that line, and that became like I think Pepsi has gone back to that line.
They have.
This was written in 1998, and in 2025 they've gone back to that line, and it's really iconic.
Yeah, but they have those ads where they're in a forest. Like these are all like cricket ads, right? Like that time. Okay.
The opportunity to work with a lot of celebrities where I was working, so MS being one of them. And I remember there's one time in office, this is 2007 World Cup, and we were all watching, and then we get a call from our boss, come back, India is going to win the World Cup. And at that time, press ads were quite big. So we had to come back at 11 at night after like being sloshed just to release a press ad and write something, do something really nice.
What do you mean by a press ad?
Press ad is in like a print ad.
Okay.
Back in the day, it was big. It still is, I think, but not as big as it used to be.
Right.
Yeah, but back in the day, we used to do a lot of print, a lot of outdoor, a lot of radio.
Amazing. So traditional media. Okay.
And that time, digital media was not even a thing. That time, buffering used to happen on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. What have
That's a great example overall. I think like Pepsi, Coke, they had global ads and they had India ads. Like that, if you show a David Beckham in an Indian on an Indian television versus you showing Sachin Tendulkar on Indian television, I think this is the kind of adaptation I'm talking about. Like you can take inspiration from international icons and international ads, but you always should have that sort of subtle local touch that is more relatable to me, right? Like I would love a chai rave someday. I would love somebody doing a chai rave instead of a coffee rave because that is like so Indian, right? Like somebody growing up in like on the eastern part of the country.
Yeah.
A lot of people probably never had coffee.
exactly?
Suddenly coming to Delhi for college and suddenly you see coffee is not just a cult. There are people partying and coffee, right? So versus me going for a chai rave. Like, at least I know the product. I can drink chai if I don't want to party.
Yeah.
So I really liked how Kit Kat, Dairy Milk, Pepsi, Coke,
Nestle, Maggie,
Maggi, right? They had Indian adaptations of their own product. They did not do the lazy work of running the same because their international icons were like real icons, right? All the top footballers, all the top actors, they still had India ads.
Beyond that, beyond using icons and systems, they had great storytelling.
Yes.
They had
and they tapped into the culture, pop. So they tapped into culture for sure. Because when we were working, there was a campaign called "Ye Hai Youngistan Meri Jaan." It was about Youngistan was a word defined. We defined it, and after speaking to hordes of college students, because that was the time India was feeling slightly confident. Saurav Ganguly had just gone, Dhoni had just come in, and we just won the World Cup. Ranbir Kapoor was there, and then the whole Micah.
But like what are examples of more like contemporary brands? Because like a Pepsi or Coke or a Nestle are like 100 gazillion-year-old companies with the power of budgets to manufacture mass scale psyops. They will manufacture whatever with being everywhere and you buy into it. Right? That is a lit back.
Cred already was like massive cafe.
Yeah, no, but I think now we're talking about marketing strategies. But like what does trade even do apart from, great animation?
Look, I'll tell you what, like a lot of companies come in with money at the end of the day, right? Like it's not just Coke, Pepsi, Cred. Like there are multiple companies with lots of capital. It's also about like as a founder, you curate things. You find the right designer.
Okay, fair. Yeah, you curated, you're inspired. But what is a brand from end to end that you feel really inspired and you like? Like from the product to the buying experience to what it stands for, and you're going again and again to it.
So, like I said, up till about 2020, it was always Nike for me, because I think it was not only the product, but it was the philosophy. You could feel there's a story in, and there's a lot of history, and there's a lot of inspiration. Even if you were not a workout person, you just felt motivated. The feeling that you got wearing a Nike versus any other sneakers was different.
Correct.
What was that for you? Right? Like, get out right? Canadian, but Indian is like Nestle only one, right? Are you a lifelong fan of Nestle and you know what it stands for and you eat it, once a month, once every 2 months? Or is it something else that you like end to end, right? Like, I'm sure great marketing ploy is something we can all learn from, right? Yeah. Hey, because they've done it. It's a great job. It's indefensible. Yeah. But what is a brand that you really likes the ethos of?
Niche brands, I would say I started using when I grew up, right? I would say Glucon-D, for example. Glucon-D was one brand, like I used to watch ads on television. Yeah. It would instantly tell me that it can replenish my energy. No, I did not care about the ingredients, anything else. It was an Indian ad where like this like 12-year-old kid was out in the sun all day, which I felt like that was me because I was going to school. I would come back, ask for Glucon-D. And the product was good. Like it did, I don't know if it was placebo or whatever.
Right now it's marketed, right? Now it's marketed, but yes.
If you're talking of a consumer product, you have to market it.
Correct.
Yeah. There is no other way to get to a customer because
and now that may be fast enough for you because they market well, or like you won't like if you're to look at global example, you got Element,
right? Like you've grown up watching good ads on TV, right? Like at least this generation, right?
Before you try a product, the first thing you see is an ad. Like, I don't know what a Nike product or what an Air Force or whatever, like that product looks like, but I see somebody wearing it and I see like a really cool ad. 5-star, for example, like the first time I switched from Dairy Milk to 5-star was because of the Ramesh Suresh.
Yes.
A damn nice ad. Like, I just like the ad, so I bought a 5-star. I had to buy a 5-star, right? Like,
So I was not intellectually enabled. I just found it was like so much fun. Like,
But like now that you're intellectually enabled, yeah.
Now,
a product, an Indian product,
Like, you don't really eat 5-star like that.
I do it.
like Bonvita, for example, it was the Indian Nike, you know, so motivation. They are zero.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, well-marketed product, right consumer fit, like, they exactly. मतलब अब तुम बड़े हो गए हो, taste भी तो थोड़ा change हो ना, वो Glucon D थोड़ी पी रहेगा इतनी ज़्यादा.
But वो चीजें ऐसे imprinted रहती है ना बहुत time तक. Like I remember it because I have seen it so many times.
Correct.
And it will be, मेरे को कितना भी कोई बोलता है उसमें sugar है. And I'll still go. I have almost like given up on sugar. I will still have a 5-star if like.
And Maggie, the Twix and Maggie, put to.
It's a good story that has been sold to you. So when we say, hey, be more original, or even when we say, oh, creators, influencer economy, this and that, everything looks the damn same, it does look the same. And the problem really is that we're not telling you that what you're doing is bad. Like, thank you for promoting the product, but build the story right so that people connect. And that's all.
Okay.
He's been saving, like,
No.
he thinks I'm a hater. We're just trying to raise the bar.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You're a coffee rave hater.
No. Very dear, there's a pretty who runs a coffee shop. Is it?
Coffee shop.
And still, like, because I get places saying, I run a coffee shop, it's this easy for me to be like, kal se hum coffee rave karenge.
What would it take for you to do a coffee rave at genre?
$5 million.
Me exiting the company.
There's a price for sure.
There's a price to everything. We do a coffee rave, good enough price, we sell our soul. It's okay. Okay, 5 years from now, what do you want to be known for?
Great partnerships.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah, like great shoes, but also like at least I would love to sort of like really enable one subculture. Like this is one space that we own, all rappers, all dancers, or whoever, like one space where people just generally associate gorillas with.
The original Northeastern Algobev company. So, I mean, we will have more products, more categories, but yes, we would love to be at least remembered as the OGs.
Bas. Yeah. Amazing. No. What's something that you tried that flopped, but you're still glad you did it?
In life?
In life. So many things. Yeah.
And like we all learn from our thing. So yeah, my first gig was actually a production company. Right out of college, I said, I'm going to start doing business.
Right.
I don't want to work for anybody. I worked for it for about, I said I ran it for close to about 4 years. Made money, this, that, but it was a very small geography. Like, you know, my canvas was Meghalaya, which is really small. I shut it down. I said like, okay, now I really need to get out of this smaller canvas. Let's attack something bigger. And I didn't, it was not a flop, I would say. It was just like, you know, सब चीज का time होता है, you know, everything has a end date. So you have to realize when that end date comes. And then that is the moment you have that realization, you have to quickly move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And for me, every flop, you just need to know that you need to end this now. And the flop will become less painful otherwise.
Correct.
Right?
Iterations. Yes.
And then you iterate constantly.
Correct.
Right? So the thing is that knowing when to leave or when to exit is the biggest virtue in life, I feel. You know, one of the biggest virtues. And for me, there will be flops in life. I mean, take it in writing. If you do 10 things, 5 will flop. But when to leave, when to exit, and what to take out of it. Like the learning from it. That's very, very important.
Correct.
If you have this whole mindset that zindagi mein, you know, things will happen. There will be flops. You'll become a much more resilient person.
Brilliant teaser.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's one thing that flop would you glad you tried?
Everything. I mean, I don't have any regrets over anything.
No, but like one thing that you'd like to highlight. Like,
I ran a dating app for 4 months.
No way.
I was second year of COVID. I ran a Discord dating line where people could sign up for 10-minute audio dates once a week. And I built this sort of project over 12 weeks in public. And at the end of 12 weeks, I decided not to do it because I hated the customer segment, because everyone will be perpetually unhappy until the one time they like
Meet the right person.
exactly. It's a very tough audience to build with, and taking the responsibility of great customer success when every time people are like, this wasn't the one. But it was a great experience and just understanding how people think and operate and their love lives and everything. And my takeaway was, this is not a systems or a product problem. This is more a people thing. People need to work on themselves to find the best lesson they have, rather than a better app or a better algorithm that can solve for it. And yeah.
Do you try for the therapy app after? No. You capped it there. Okay.
Customer retention. Yeah.
No, you understood the problem and then
I should admit that's always able or often. Yeah. It's a great problem to solve. I think most companies right now are really bad products to solve this problem. I think the next person who solves this is going to be like a multi-billionaire. Like, people are lonely and they want someone to be with. And the current systems don't solve it. At least that was my learning.
Correct.
But my other learning was, I don't want to be the person to solve.
you feel like, okay, we'll actually tap into this once we're done with the podcast. What's your ways?
So I had a phase where I wanted to be a travel blogger.
Right.
Just not work, not do any chaos, and just travel. Was a short stint because I had no technical ability. Just from pre-TikTok, pre-Instagram,
Right.
like making like YouTube videos, which is damn hard. But that sort of triggered a series of travel endeavors. Like, I traveled a lot around the country, backpacked around like these are smaller corners in South India, North India, etc. So that I'm like, that made me appreciate a lot more things in life, like just very basic things from like where I came from, what I've studied, how much I know generally about the world, like the kind of food I eat, etc. That just like immensely opened up perspective for me. So that was like nothing worked out. Like I could not be a blogger.
Or at least you traveled.
Yeah, but and that just never stopped. Like, I still try to go on treks like whenever I get a time to.
Yeah.
So that just, but beyond all of that, I think it just like helped me understand the country and these different sort of spaces and states in like much finer detail, and just appreciate stuff a lot more.
Sweet. Oh, that brings us to the end of this podcast. This has been a brilliant conversation. Cherrapunji makes the best gin. Gully Labs makes the best shoes. Go check their brands out. These three founders are brilliant.
Thank you. It's nice having you. Thank you.
Thank you guys.